specifically around senior leaders. I feel like that's just an ongoing theme in DEI work in general. How do we get buy-in of these senior leaders, and how do we engage senior leaders, and what role should senior leaders play when it comes to advancing DEI efforts? And I'm curious if you have some thoughts on the role of senior leadership in DEI.
Yeah, senior leaders are crucial, right? And so one of the things that happened that was a win, I would say, for diversity, equity, inclusion here, and the work that I'm doing was in November, in month 3 for me, I was able to do a training, a 90-minute training with our senior leaders. That's one of the things that I'm really strong at, is this idea of presenting, telling a story, bringing people in, engaging them. And so because I had that opportunity to do that, and it was the last day before they shut down a second time, the city. So we were in a really large conference room that was really meant for 150 people, but there were 30 of us spread out in that room. And I was able to capture buy-in by simplifying the concepts. Senior leadership buy-in is critical because they influence their assistant vice president, and their assistant vice presidents influence their frontline employees and so forth. And so it goes down the chain. So if there's a senior level leader who can't understand why this makes sense, there could be a bottleneck in that part of an organization. I've been fortunate because everyone has seemed to buy in. Everyone says this makes sense, and the training. One of the things that I did in the training was I didn't come from a "this is the right thing to do" angle, because if it was, we would have done it already, right? And that's the case for everywhere. Like people, like they say, well, it's the right thing to do. It is, and so was it. It was the right thing to do back in the 80s, and it was the right thing to do back in the 50s, and we just didn't do it. And so, what's the other entry point into that conversation? So I started talking about the impact financially, what this means about a changing demographics that are happening in the United States. What does it mean about buying power, right? Like people now have choice, and they will take their money and go somewhere else if they do not feel they're being valued for who they are. And so looking at those things, it's really, I think one of the ways you ask the question, how do you get senior leadership buy-in? One of the ways is to figure out what's important to them, and then just ask questions around that until you drop down, you tease into asking questions around diversity, equity, inclusion.